Hello everyone, I'm Jack, and welcome to episode 43 of the Save File podcast. Today, we're talking about Ubisoft's employees pushing back on NFTs, again, new Pokemon games, and the new Nintendo Eshop closure. Damn. Okay, joining me is Charbs. How you going?
What's up?
Anf.
Yo!
And Josh.
Howdy.
How are we, guys?
Pretty good.
He said howdy.
What's wrong with that?
No,
You're allowed to
it's
say howdy.
I'm multicultural as fuck.
no, you're not multicultural. It's fine.
Alright, before we get derailed too far.
Alright, let's go.
Ubisoft. NFTs. They're doing it again, guys. So I feel like this is the new watch segment. It's just Ubisoft and NFTs.
I feel like we could just make a segment on this company do NFT.
This company do bad thing.
Very bad thing.
So basically employees are constantly pushing back on the company trying to get blockchain technology and just distribute NFTs, and they're just like, why are we doing this? One employee even said it was a deeply embarrassing day to work at Ubisoft, while another asked if management was competing with EA for the most hated game studio by the public title. Ubisoft leadership is understandably displeased with these comments being shared with the public. I wonder why.
And you know what? Slightly understandable reaction to that. It would be pretty hard to hear that it's a deeply embarrassing day to work for them.
They were like, yeah, we received a lot of feedback and we take the encouragement as concerns to heart. We value these internal exchanges and we think they help make our game stronger. However, sharing confidential information, including from internal forums, is a violation of our employment agreement. More importantly, a violation of the trust that team members place in each other to be able to freely express themselves. Well, I'm pretty sure you guys screwed all of that up when, employees had to complain about mismanagement, sexual misconduct.
Oh my god.
Underpay.
Pretty sure that's all in violation, but let's... Yeah. Sorry when it's management.
What was that, Josh?
Rules for me, not for thee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just say, what would it take for any of you to buy an NFT?
It would take a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah.
I would have to be like, A, not very intelligent, B, too much money.
And you're only one of those things.
It's true.
See, my concern with
I'll tell you what
NFTs
it's
as a
not.
whole, right, is first and foremost, I feel like they're so oversaturated because it feels like every second sponsored ad I get on Facebook or whatever is just NFTs. And it's like, oh yeah, join a Discord with 3,000 people. And I'm like, great, so I know I'm not the first one to jump on this one, eh? I honestly don't know why massive developers like Ubisoft are still trying to push NFTs.
Because they think it will make them money. That's what it
I
always comes down to.
assume these companies see like big profit margins in these, which I don't understand because I kind of agree with you there. It feels like the market is there's just so many of them.
They're obsessed with it.
Yeah, just scrolling through Twitter, I'm just like, Jesus Christ! Like every third ad is a different NFT producer, and they have like 100 of them, like each.
Yeah.
So I don't know how these things have any value.
It's because the value's in the blockchain, Josh.
Dude, I know I'm baiting comments.
And they're playing the long game pretty much. Like, Sharbs, to answer your question, I wouldn't buy one ever. Well,
But
if they want to offer me one, give me $1 billion with a McFlurry. Most important, the McFlurry.
I like how if they offered you $1 billion but not an ice cream, you'd be like, nah, fuck this.
I just imagine
I'm getting screwed.
I just imagine the scene
McFlurry.
from Simpsons. I imagine the scene from Simpsons in my head where Homer's like, "Oh, I wanted a peanut." It's like $50 can buy many peanuts. No, but like
I feel like we need the second half of that one.
but,
Explain
how.
how.
My thing with NFTs, right, is everyone knows NFTs now. Like, it's even a thing that like normal people who aren't involved in like
internet circles.
like internet circles. Like even they're talking about NFTs. But what's the long game? Like, do we really see NFTs being a thing for another 10, 20, 30 years?
I think it's going to become like... It's going to come sort of like Bitcoin in like a cultural zeitgeist kind of way. Of like, everyone kind of knows what it is, but no one really understands it.
No one has any.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know a single fucker who has Bitcoin. Like, not a single one.
Well,
but I don't know
here's the thing,
anyone who doesn't know what it is.
I think that's what all these companies think it is. They think it's like the next Bitcoin or just crypto, and they don't want to miss out on it, and they want to... I think they're trying, in their head, to get ahead of the curve. But, like, guys, there's no one you need to jump on because no one cares.
No, not only does no one cares, people are actively, like, dislike them.
Yeah, that was
when
the
Bitcoin
difference
came out,
between-
no one actively disliked Bitcoin. They disliked the people pushing Bitcoin, but they didn't actively dislike Bitcoin as a concept.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but that's the major difference between NFTs and crypto. Is that crypto was known by like 30 fucking people. The only person in your life that knew crypto before the Bitcoin, like, I wouldn't say bubble because it's still very
The boom.
very valuable. But before the Bitcoin boom, the only person in your life that was talking about crypto was probably some weird person you didn't want to have a long conversation with because you knew they'd bring up Bitcoin. But with NFTs, like especially in the game industry, fans absolutely don't want that shit.
No.
For every one person that wants to play a game and get an NFT out of it, there's at least 100 that don't.
But
if you're bumping NFTs, no one wants to associate with you.
Like, I mean, even like celebrities that we've seen that have kind of like jumped on the NFT train have gotten like a massive amount of hate for it. Troy Baker,
Yeah, Troy
who
Baker.
is the first one that comes to mind. He was like immediately shut down by his fans when he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna make an NFT," and
Everyone's like, hey, don't fucking do that.
people
Yeah,
don't
no.
want it.
Bad idea.
Bad idea, yeah.
People don't want it. It doesn't matter. You could be the most well-loved person, well-loved company. The moment you say, "Oh, I want to do NFTs," in this day and age, people are going to be like, "No, just fuck off."
Just don't.
I feel like it's like, they see the massive backlash, but then they see like each NFT is like 10 grand. And they're like, I only need like 5 people to actually like this idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's stupid.
I realize
Like,
that
honestly.
fucking mentality is just the guy who's like, oh man,
Well, I was gonna say,
how much
do
should
you
I
think-
charge for being a personal trainer? $1 million, and you only need one client.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what the companies are actually trying? They're thinking, oh, hey, if we can get like 10 whales on this when we launch this game, it's a lot of chunk of money. But I think some companies are starting to realize that you're actually going to get a lot more hate and lose public sentiment
I just
by having
realized
them.
that this is just what the mobile market's been doing for ages.
In a way, yes.
Well, you just said wow,
But-
and it just made me realize, like, oh, that's a massive connection. They're not trying to appeal to everyone. They're trying to appeal to NFT bros, like, who are
Yeah.
already completely
Yeah,
sold
but
on
the
the
difference
idea.
is NFTs have had a terrible effect both on the industry and the environment. It's like, the thing about like mobile bros is if you had a mate that spent $85,000 on Clash of Clans or whatever,
I've had that,
That's-
mate. Yep.
that was fine. It didn't affect you. It didn't affect the fucking environment.
You
With
could
NFTs,
laugh at
it
them,
does.
but
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, I honestly don't see this lasting another 5 years.
See, I don't know.
Or, like,
It's either going to collapse.
All biases aside, I do not see this lasting.
I have a different opinion. I think that like we're gonna have like a massive collapse, and there's gonna be like one NFT. I'm gonna call it a brand, like an NFT brand that'll essentially become the face of it, and it will be like NFTs will be just that thing,
That one single
that one thing. It's like let's take the monkeys, okay? We all
monkeys.
fucking hate those monkeys, but
Yeah.
let's just say like in 5 years from now, NFTs are still a thing, but the only thing anyone could like tell you about them and the most readily available ones, like through any kind of searching, would be those. Like this massive, huge spike of people jumping on trying to get essentially trying to get like their crypto money that they feel like they've missed out on. I feel like a lot of them are going to stop because it's just going to be like, well, the market's so flooded that they're just going to organize under one thing, and then that thing will be the only one that's really successful, and the rest of these will like kind of peter out and die.
So yeah, I hope that, but I don't have as much faith. I just feel like there'll be some people that jump on board for it, and I don't know.
There will be a panic on people trying to cash in their monkey bucks and everything.
There will be. I feel bad for some of the people who have bought like huge swaths of NFTs and will have like no one to sell them to, because if it crashes and everyone abandons it, or if like a new thing comes out and they all jump onto that, what the hell are they going to do?
But I mean, that's always the risk with these things, and I think that's why people are trying to make it clear that they don't want them now, because it's like, no, we're not interested. Get this out of here.
This is gambling with extra steps. Please stop doing this.
I mean,
like, no one's interested.
I'm with Jack. That's one of the risks you take. If you're going to be an early adopter and jump onto things early, you should be ready for the possibility that this might not pop off. Like, that's legitimately it.
Because for every story of this succeeding, there's like 500 more of them just
like
failing.
think of it this way. It's the same thing with any other product. I'll use the Ouya as an example, right? Remember the Ouya?
Ouya?
Yeah. Like, everyone at one point or another... everyone at one point or another had a chance to jump at the Ouya, right? Now, a lot of people looked and said, I don't want to play mobile games on my TV. And other people said, holy shit, this will change game development. The reality is the people that bought into it. And unfortunately, the Ouya is not...
It's a piece of shit.
Highly valued these days. Like, that's the thing. If you choose to be an early adopter of any product or service, you run the risk of it not panning out.
See, like, I agree with that. Although we are talking about massive investments. You're auctioning off an investment. It's weird to me. Like, I don't know if that's like a normal thing. I don't know if that's like a normal thing for other... Really? That they auction off investment options.
Well, put it this way. Have you heard of Quippy?
I don't know what the fuck Quippy is.
Quippy was a streaming service. It was kind of like... Imagine like a Netflix competitor, but specifically for your phone, right? Okay. You couldn't watch it on TVs or anything like that. It garnered, I think it was like $400 million of investment. It was headed by, I think it was a former, from memory, EA or Activision Blizzard exec.
Right.
Like, it had big names behind it. And so people were like, holy shit, I'm going to invest in this. And it ran a subscription service. It was, it did everything. It just wasn't successful.
Right.
But despite the fact that it wasn't successful, it had hundreds of millions of dollars put behind it. Same thing as Ven. You know what I mean? Like, it's normal for products to have massive investment and fail. That happens a lot. More than I think a lot of people realize. Just because you have massive investment does not mean you're going to be set up for success for the next 10 years. That's reality. Right. You live or die by whatever products you put out. I've said this to you boys like plenty of times when we have discussions, like not on the podcast and that, but I'm like, at the end of the day, like whether you're a game studio, whether you're a restaurant, whether you're whatever, all that matters is whether the product you're putting out is good enough and if enough people are buying it for it to be sustainable. The problem with NFTs is they only appeal to NFT bros.
I also don't know if it counts as a product.
I would say it is.
Do you reckon?
I would call it a product. You're paying some sort of currency to own... I mean, I say own, but let's be real, it's in the blockchain and shit.
Winner.
Yeah, like
you're paying some form of currency
quotations.
to own something. I think that alone makes it a product.
I think it is a product. I think the whole thing is like, is this a product people want? And everyone's trying to tell these companies that, hey, we don't want this, but they're just not listening.
Like, it really comes down to how much these, NFT bros value it and what they want it for. If you just want this little JPEG as something you own or whatever, that's perfectly fine. But the problem is I'm seeing people, and there are people I know that are considering doing this, and they buy an NFT as an investment, hoping they can flip it later for a profit.
Yeah.
That's not going to work. I don't think that'll work. I think in 10 years from now, there'll just be JPEGs that are worth 30 cents, if that.
I don't even think that'd be worth that.
And you've spent 5-10 G's on it. Like, I don't see this working.
I don't know. I have massive problems with the idea that the blockchain already doesn't make too much sense to me. But just like, if I can, it is the lowest take. I understand that. But if I can screenshot it and essentially have the same experience as paying 10 grand, then what's the fuck is the point?
No, I completely agree, right?
I agree with you. My worry is that people will get on board with it if it's marketed as enough of a trend, and then we're just stuck with these in our games. And I want to believe that it won't infect and make games not enjoyable, but I think we hope the same thing with loot boxes. And while loot boxes have a place, I think there's definitely many bad ways to go about them. And I worry that NFTs could be a way that companies try and, gamify systems or lock you out with things if you don't have an NFT.
No, I don't think that'll happen. Personally, I don't think so.
I don't want it to happen. I just fear.
But like the thing about loot boxes, the thing that made loot boxes different was because there was such a low barrier of entry for them. You can buy a loot box in like insert game here for what? In between 0 and fucking $10 can get you a loot box in just about any game that has loot boxes.
Yeah.
NFTs, some of them are being sold for ridiculous amounts.
Look, I agree. I understand
And
that, but
it also doesn't have the wide appeal of something like a loot box has. A loot box has contents that can appeal to just about anybody playing the game the loot box is in.
I guess NFTs are less gambling because you can technically sell the NFT for the same or higher price than which you bought it for.
Yeah.
I put it in the same kind of category as like stock trading. You know what I mean? It really is going to come down to how much value people see in this in 10, 15 years. I'll give you an example, right? I went and got my hair cut last week, okay? And there was a guy in there, and his job was, for many years, he used to dig graves with an excavator. And when he was, working 20 years ago, he used to buy up heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of burial plots, right? You know why he did that? Because now, when cemeteries are filling up, like local cemeteries, he's able to sell those plots for a profit. He could have bought a plot for $2,000 back then. He's selling it for 20 now.
See, I understand that. Property makes sense to me. NFTs are just...
Property... I hate to do this. Property is, like, real.
Property
I know, and I agree
and
entirely.
a lot more versatile.
I agree entirely. I just feel like they'll find a way to make these appeal to someone, and then they're in our games, and someone's going to make a bad decision... and it's going to ruin their life because they spent too much on an NFT, and it's just horrible.
I'll tell you the argument I hate seeing from NFT bros is they say it's like owning a piece of art, right? And the thing is, right, when you look at something like the Mona Lisa, which was painted hundreds and hundreds of fucking years ago, hand-painted, you will never... It's super difficult to replicate that by hand. There's always going to be something that goes wrong when you try to replicate it. You'll never get it 100% perfect. With an NFT, if I fucking screenshot it and I crop out my little battery from my phone screen, I've got the exact same thing. It's digital, it's easy to replicate, and I agree with you, Josh. It's a low take, but I completely agree with you. I can screenshot an NFT. If someone buys a house, I can't walk into the house and live there.
And it would be extremely expensive and difficult to replicate it, and you couldn't because it wouldn't be the same piece of land.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's like, I get it. It's like the most brain dead take of like, oh, NFT bad, but like, if it's
it's a valid argument.
Yeah, but if it's failing at this level, then where do you go from there?
Look,
Well, I'll tell you where you
I
go
want
to
you to
send a
be
link
right.
because you blew all your money on NFTs.
I want you to be right. I just... Ugh.
I know you do, Jack, and look,
It's just
there is a good
gross.
chance. There is a chance that, like, in 10 years from now, every fucking mobile game will be like, oh, here's your 10 NFTs.
God!
The nightmare scenario.
That's...
But anything of value is supply and demand. That's
Yeah.
the reality of it.
I
thing
think
is-
I think that is the positive thing, that we've jumped on this very early, and people have said, no, do not get this out of here. We don't want to see any of this, and everyone but Ubisoft, on the most part, is getting the message pretty clearly. I think,
But like,
yeah,
sorry, I was just going to say NFTs have, and I'm using air quotes here, value, because according to the people making them, it's limited and you will own it. Now, that's all well and good and everything, but I can screenshot it, I can just have fakes. It's fine. We'll call it whatever you want.
How is it a fake, though?
Because you don't technically... I'm not saying it's fake. I'm saying
I'm
people
saying
say
if I
it's fake.
took the real NFT and I
Yeah.
took the screenshot on 2 different phones, right, and I showed them to some sort of verifier, how the fuck would they tell?
I don't know. I guess they check the blockchain. Like, I honestly don't know. See, this is my point, is it's got so many holes in it. It doesn't
I
work.
think that's the thing, and you know, it's a hard concept to explain to people, and I think that's probably one of the main things stopping it as a barrier to entry. Unlike, say, something like loot boxes, where it's like, oh, you can get this cool looking skin in this game, and you can, you know, you might get it for $10, and the small chance of it and the gambling aspect, it's logical to see how they're trying to make money and get you into it. Whereas with NFTs, it's like, look, you could get $500 for it. You also need to find a buyer for it. So
There's also, like, no prestige to it. If you own a Ferrari, for example, Ferrari do not produce the same amount of cars per year as Toyota. They make a lot less, right? The cost is high, the quality is high, and because of that, demand is high. People want these cars a lot of the time because they've never had a chance to own one. I've never driven a Ferrari. I absolutely want to. If someone gave me the chance to get behind the wheel of a Ferrari of my choosing, or to get behind a Toyota of my choosing, there's a big difference in the appeal of a Ferrari or a Toyota.
yeah,
With NFTs, what appeal does having the original have over a screenshot of it that is the exact same quality at the exact same resolution, and that is digital anyway, so it's replicated perfectly with a screenshot? That's the thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's enough NFT talk.
Yeah,
And
I feel like we've gotten out what we think.
I did not expect us to talk about NFTs for that long, and that's enough.
It is doing my head in too.
On to much happier news, guys. We're getting new Pokemon. Generation 9.
Let's go!
Yeah,
Let's
let's go.
go.
Let's go.
Now that I've blown out Clinton's ears, we can continue.
Excellent.
I,
So, you know, Nintendo just announced they were gonna have a little direct. Did the direct? We got Pokemon Violet and Scarlet.
Yeah, we got Pokemon Gen 9, my boys.
When
Alright,
they
alright,
announced
alright,
the
alright,
game-
wait,
when
wait, wait. What start are we picking?
Quaxley.
Yes!
Alright, so so for everyone who doesn't know, yes, we've got the grass, fire, and water starters again. We've seen them. The grass starter, Sprigatito, or Sprigatito,
Yes,
Sprigatito.
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 is a grass cat. I don't know what, so I'm calling it now. Cats are the new monkey of Pokemon, where they need to have a few generations of them.
Yep.
We have Fuecoco, who is literally a crocodile and looks hilarious.
He's a chili pepper crocodile.
I love it.
Yeah, he's great.
And we have Quaxley, the water Pokemon, who's a little duck with a little
Oh, you mean
beret.
you mean Donald?
You mean
Think he's
Josuke?
So I think all
I'm-
these starters look really cool.
Yeah, I really love them. I'm going to be honest. I've seen the bitching, but I got to be honest. People have really embraced them. They're like,
Here's
oh
my
my
problem.
God, I love these people.
Grass Cat is literally Firelitten. Just Fire Cat. Like, I love cats. Charbel knows this. I love them. Even I don't want to get the grass starter because I feel like I had one literally last generation.
Oh, did you go with Groki?
No, I went with Litten in the last one.
Oh.
That was Sun and Moon.
And then it turned into bipedal wrestling cat.
Yeah, people have been posting fucking memes about.
Yeah, everyone's
better not
wondering
stand
how the
up.
grass cat is going to go bipedal.
This thing better don't ruin this for us. I gotta admit though,
Oh.
that duck is looking pretty far.
That duck's pretty. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have.
That duck, you can tell, he's gonna
got
turn
some
into some
swagger.
real fucked up Pokemon. He's
I'm
gonna
gonna
fuck other people up.
I've got theories. I've got theories.
So
from my
here's the thing.
scoutings.
I want to go to Fuecoco for a fire
Okay.
crocodile. I haven't gone fire as a starter in a while.
Yeah.
Same, yeah.
Fuecoco.
My only problem
Jack, are you gonna do what I
is
do?
I need to see
and name it
Quaxly's
up?
final evolution. If Quaxley becomes like a pirate water captain or something, like a pirate duck, I'm there. If he gets a pirate hat, I may not use. I may try and get a team of 6 of these.
So
I'm
do you
gonna.
want me? Do you want to hear the theories behind what they think each starter's going to be?
What?
They think that the little Sprigatito is going to be some sort of conquistador. Quaxley is a marine, and Fuecoco is they either think for some reason it's going to be more draconic, or it's going to become like really fat.
Like a thick
Like a
crocodile.
I mean, he's
boy.
pretty thick at the moment. I can sort of see that.
Thicker.
I'm gonna choose Fuecoco because I'm gonna name it Irwin out of tribute.
Out of tribute. I got to name my Quaxley Josuke because look at it.
Actually, I thought the cat. Sorry, not the cat. The crocodile as well. Like his little description was like he does things at his own pace.
Yeah,
Like,
I love the descriptions because Quaxley's is just this is a neat little boy, isn't it?
why is the water Pokemon always the like super shy one or like?
We don't have that one this time. We don't have like a shy, cute one. We
I don't
just
know.
got, like-
I still get that vibe off the duck, but like he's got a cool beret, but that's it.
No, I don't reckon he doesn't look too shy to me. He looks like he cares about his haircut.
Okay,
It looks like he's gonna stab you in your sleep.
What?
that's probably too far for a Pokemon game. But...
Imagine you get sleep paralysis and you just see Quaxley at the end of your bed.
This little like the little
Oh my
uwu in its hat comes up.
Like, I just noticed now that if we ever get a Australian like Australia sort of region, we're not gonna get a crocodile for a starter.
Well, actually, here was my problem. I thought that with Fuecoco, I was like, damn, there goes a Australian starter that we could have.
But that means we could still have a kangaroo, a koala, and
No, we have to have a white ibis is one of them.
I was gonna say a
have to-
cassowary.
We have to have a bin chicken.
We need a bin chicken.
we need a bin chicken.
It's good. Like if you go to like the shittest area of the map in the Australian Pokemon, you get swarmed by bin chickens.
No, they'll just be the region's Zubat.
You go, you go into the wrong like alleyway and you face off against a Pokemon called Eshelad.
You guys realize that we're gonna get like an ibis Pokemon, but it's gonna be for an Egypt region. It's gonna be like the most beautiful thing.
And then there's the Australian variant.
Actually,
Very-
Egypt version of Pokemon would be cool.
It actually really would. I would love like a Middle Eastern Pokemon.
I love that. I
game
like
Oh,
set
I'd be
in that
down.
region.
I
I
wouldn't
feel
be
like we've been in
surprised.
Europe for a little while. Like, I know we went to Hawaii, but like Europe's been dominant. Like we had.
Recently, it has been Europe. We went to America for that one generation.
Yeah, that was Hawaii. wasn't
No,
it?
No,
We went to
5.
like mainland US with Unova.
Was that what that was? Okay.
Yeah, that was it was based off the New York metropolitan area.
yeah, that's like because Generation 1 to 4 was based off like Japanese
Japan.
provinces. After that, it was like, yeah, we're gonna travel the world.
But like, I really hope we do get an Australian one down the line. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a Twitter account, I believe it was called Vivink Art. They were
You
the
can
ones
find
who
them,
did
yeah.
the Pokemon Yeah and Pokemon Nah. And they did
Yeah,
like the
nah.
mock-up.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I
Nah.
I actually saw a tweet from them because a friend of mine liked it, and they said like we still want an Australian version of Pokemon.
Damn straight we
and
do.
I went on their like profile, and they had what could hypothetically be like an Australian Pokemon map. And it
Oh
was
no, they've got the
super
map,
cool.
and they've got like so many versions of Pokemon, and how they've drawn them, they genuinely look like they could be in Pokemon. Like, it's not just fan art. Like, it makes a lot of sense.
You know what they should do? They should they should make like a storyline in the game where you can't get into the western part of the map because the borders are closed.
Nah.
You have to win a Pokemon battle to open them up.
If you go to like,
COVID-19
you know,
pandemic version.
You go to
If
Perth
you go to
and nothing's there.
if you go to Pokemon Tasmania, do you think it'll all be Dittos?
Yeah.
We're doing some
God.
deep cuts.
So, to Scarlet and Violet, the ones that are coming out, but hey, Gen 10, you listening, Nintendo?
Yeah, Nintendo, call us.
Well, what do we think? Do we think this is too soon for another Pokemon game?
No, because I don't think development works like people. I think too many people think game development works in like, well, we start this one and then we finish and we start the next one. It's like, no, I reckon this has been in development since like Sword and Shield.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
like a different.
I definitely
like,
think it's
team.
been in development with Sword and Shield, but I think it's, I feel like the other one only just came out. Like, it
I feel like it
still
was a
feels
beta.
pretty soon.
I feel like they
This-
were using it as like a test.
Look, from what we've heard, this one is like they're pushing the fact that it's a seamless open world with villages across the map.
Yeah,
Um,
it really
it's-
seems like they were like using Legends Arceus to test the waters of like, okay, let's release this and see how people react.
and
I also realized that it's not just the beta. Legends Arceus is definitely a side game.
It is. It's absolutely a side game.
And, for a side game, it's really fucking good.
Oh,
Yeah, for a side
okay.
game, holy shit.
I can't believe that was
Also,
a
I've
side
seen
game.
on
Yeah,
Twitter-
'cause-
I've seen on Twitter people saying, "Oh my god, I wonder if Game Freak are crunching and things like that." And I've seen a lot of people respond saying Game Freak have rotating teams.
That is true.
I would assume they're not like crunching and making this Pokemon game in a very, very short time. I would heavily assume it's a team that's been rotating. They've been working on.
well,
this
the same people are going to complain when not all 900 Pokemon are in, and then they'll be like,
And then
oh,
they go,
we
why
want
isn't
crunch.
crunch those fuckers?
Yeah, so
Okay, people have noticed that, like, it's definitely a rotating staff and that different staff members work on the different games at different times. And just because the games are developed in parallel doesn't mean, like, everyone's working on them all at once. For instance, Pokemon Snap and then Pokemon Legends Arceus and then this Pokemon Violet and Scarlet were obviously all being worked on simultaneously at some point, but I highly doubt the same team was working on them.
yeah, like people would also swap over. It's like, oh, you've done these assets for this, I think we're reasonably okay. We're happy for you to move on to this new project now, and the other one, we're just doing final touches and everything.
Yeah.
And this
Probably
one has
a lot
more
of
this one has more production value than Sword and Shield and Arceus combined.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen the Pokemon themselves? They actually have textures.
You know
like,
why, man? They're using
Detailed
the,
textures.
They're using the new Snap models.
Yeah.
Which is, again, why I'm saying it's built in parallel. It's because Legends Arceus uses the old models, and then they get the new models from the Snap game that they're working on at the same time for the actual mainline game that they're pumping everything into.
Yeah, and I could tell Legends Arceus was using the Sword and Shield engine as well, but it
Yeah.
used it better.
It did. It absolutely is showing you that, like, more experience with an engine does make a huge difference.
Yeah, and now they're moving forward, and we're seeing like a larger world, more detailed environments, and I'm gonna assume they're gonna use the systems that were implemented in Arceus into this one. So that means seamless battles.
Yeah.
The
The battles are
fly
probably
catching.
just probably going to be more complicated to be in line with the main games and competitive, because that is an aspect of those games.
Yeah,
So
I just
those,
hope
those weird damage calcs are probably not going to be in it.
no, they're gonna like stick to like the original systems, but they're gonna implement the things that made
That
like,
worked, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, like the stuff that worked in Arceus, it'll be in this game.
So are you boys picking it up on launch?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Of course.
Kidding me?
I'm sure you guys will pre-order it in a snap when we see more gameplay.
Get out.
You can already pre-order it.
You can. I'm just wondering if it's gonna come with like a an edition, because Arceus didn't and Brilliant Diamond obviously didn't either.
I don't think it will.
I do have
Pokemon games ever had editions.
I do have a
like,
complaint.
The double one. Here we go.
Hey, you know what's coming.
I know what's coming.
And I agree with you, Jack.
So why have we got two editions again? Why are we continuing this archaic trend of having two editions when we don't need two editions? Like, I just don't get it. Like, I considered Arceus not to be a side game. I considered it to be a main game because I thought it was big enough and it warranted enough acclaim.
Yeah, I was expecting Arceus to be like the tradition like breaker.
And
I'm going to be honest here, Arceus. I think we can all agree that Arceus was good. Like Legends Arceus was good.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I've seen it played. I haven't done that much myself on it. I haven't got the game, but I've seen it played. Looks thoroughly enjoyable. I like a lot of stuff that they've done. And I just hope that Arceus was at least a step in the right direction, because archaic things like the two versions, which people say, oh, it's so you can go and trade with your friends and whatever. No, it's not.
What if I don't have friends?
It's just...
You have a podcast!
Again, this is for the whales who will go and buy both editions so they can get all the Pokemon.
Hey, listen, I need to go buy both editions. I mean, I got two people in my house, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, it's easy for people like you, but I'm annoyed at the two editions thing, because it's literally cutting off content for an extra $80, $70, however much it costs you in your region to go and either get a second edition or force you to maybe do online content. And I am gonna guess you need an online subscription to do anything with trading with people.
Yep, that's just like Sword and Shield and Arceus.
No, unless
not a big fan.
Not unless you like did local. So yeah. No, I agree. I can agree that the two versions is archaic and unnecessary.
Because it's also like literally Pokemon's whole thing is gotta catch them all. That is literally your tagline, and you
gotta catch them all, but not these ones.
Gotta catch them all for double the price.
Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not as fussed with them not having all the Pokemon in, just as a matter of literally there are too many Pokemon put in the game. Like, you literally need a PC build to put all Pokemon in at this point. But
you
can't catch all the Pokemon in the
region.
That is sucky.
Okay, I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna sound off topic at first, but the Digimon Survive director did a Q&A recently, where they talked about the same sort of issue, where they said we had to scale back our roster because it was becoming too difficult to actually make them feel unique and individual anymore.
Yeah.
And plus it's a balancing thing.
It's not even... He didn't even say it was like a balancing issue. He was like, look, it's like once we get up to like 500, 600 of them, at some point it's like you have to sacrifice giving them individual animations and making them feel special and unique and interesting, and they all start to feel like, which sprite do you like the best?
And I agree with that, and I do think there are a lot of newer Pokemon that I absolutely love, and I think they've been able to make different. But
shout out to my boy Ice Cube.
Scorpy, one of my favorites.
Scorpy's great.
And, newer gen Pokemon, and I actually love some of these new designs, but I mean, I feel like I'm just going to point it out again. Literally, you have another starter that's a cat, and he doesn't feel that different to the other cat, other than he's grass versus fire. Like, I know you can make the evolutions different. I certainly hope this other.
I'm pretty sure the
bipedal,
evolutions will probably make them quite distinct.
There only are so many different designs you can do to a point where it's just going to feel like you're going over the same sort of territory, or it has to be so weird that it doesn't almost feel like Pokemon.
Also, have you seen like the aesthetic of it, like the character models and stuff? So like it doesn't have that like the main character that you play as, like either boy or girl or whatever. They don't have those anime eyes anymore.
No, okay, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a fan of the new protag design.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either.
I didn't mind it. I didn't have an issue with it, to be honest.
It looks very Pixar-y, and I don't think Pixar-y doesn't suit Pokemon.
Just I don't look at my protagonist enough. I'm usually looking at my Pokemon.
You're looking you look at the protagonist in different ways, but like
No, I know, and like obviously when you throw your Pokeball and whatever, you're definitely seeing them. But I think for me, I'm more focused on my Pokemon, so it's less of an issue for me personally. But I can 100%. That's literally your character, so you want them to look,
yeah.
Yeah, there's
But
gonna be fashion
I still feel like
options.
the drip will help.
Yeah, the drip was definitely gonna help. Give me them. Give me that biker jacket that I got in like Sword and Shield, and I'm done.
Look, some of the costumes in them do make your character look so much better. I remember like buying something in Sword and Shield, and it was like so much better. I was like, alright, this is what I'm wearing for the rest of the game now. I feel like I've outgrown the casual clothes that I was given at the start.
Yeah.
As long as I'm given a cap, because I don't know, a Pokemon trainer's staple is a cap, not a fucking a fishing hat, I guess, or whatever it is.
Man,
that you
I
have.
don't like caps as a general rule because I don't like caps in real life, so I don't usually have my character wear one.
Yeah. But look, I think we can all agree that like the protagonist is probably not the biggest deal because it's going to be customizable to some extent.
Yeah. It's just I find the art direction to be a little bit weird, but I'll get used to it.
Yeah, I reckon we'll get you when you see more of it. Also, it's weird that we haven't seen the box legendaries. We saw the
That's what
starters
happened.
before the box.
Well, I mean, hey,
legendaries.
they're running out of. I feel. I said they were running out of ways to create new Pokemon. They're literally calling them Scarlet and Violet. I mean, we're down to colours again.
I like that they're going back to colors. We haven't done colors since Gen 2.
I just hope they take a more creative route, I guess. Like Gen 5 had that like twist and stuff, and Sword and Shield had the tournament arc, and what's it called? Sun and Moon. It wasn't really much about gyms. It was more about like island challenges
Also,
and stuff. So
Josh,
Huh?
our Sapphire and Ruby are colours. Small reminder there.
Are you really going to look at me in the eye and say sapphires and rubies are colors?
They're colours because of the gemstones.
They're gemstones first, Jack. Gold and silver are also colors, but they're also metals.
But I associate them with colours.
yeah, but Josh, are they rocks or minerals?
I'm gonna fucking. I'm gonna reduce you to minerals in a minute.
Jesus Christ, Marie.
So,
Can I just say that like Avengers would be a lot less interesting if Thanos was after the invincibility minerals, the Infinity minerals.
so is there
Infinity minerals.
anything else we want to talk about with new
Yes,
Pokemon?
my favorite Marvel superhero, Iron Man. We can no longer refer to him as that from now on. He's Mineral Individual. Moving
get
on
outta here.
from that, there's something I want to talk about, which is the Nintendo Eshops for the Wii U and the 3DS are being closed.
Why does this feel like Nintendo can't have... Like, Nintendo news always comes on the back of good news or bad news. Like, they do good or bad stuff one week, and then the next week they'll be like, okay, so you remember that other stuff that you were annoyed at or loved last week? We're going to ruin that sentiment one way or another.
I don't know, man.
The
Like,
worst
look, they're
part
closing,
about
but-
this. Sorry, Josh.
No,
the
go
worst
on.
part about this is, you know how like the PS3 had that whole closing down the store thing a while back as well. Sony listened to the feedback towards that, and they redacted that. They didn't go through with it. But this is Nintendo.
Yeah,
They'll
that
go
ain't
through-
happening.
no, they're not gonna listen to anyone. They're gonna do it, and that's gonna be final. And when Nintendo themselves say this, they're gonna go through with it. I mean, look at the fucking Super Mario 3D All Stars thing. They went ahead with like getting it off the shelves, and then we
Yeah.
also got Fire Emblem, the original one that got translated, and it was on the eStore. They got rid of it around the same time. So what's stopping
Nintendo
them
for
from
a
doing
long
this?
time have seemed to understand their fans on a gaming front in terms of providing good quality content, but then they do fringe. I'm going to say fringe, but that's unkind. They do stuff like this that makes you like, guys, you're so close to being really, really good and just understanding people, and like you put out these great games, but then you do dumb stuff like just stopping supporting these things. Like, look, I understand why companies continue to get rid of these as a, they stop supporting them or allowing you to buy X thing on the storefront because it's not making them money. But there's got to be a better way for them to end these agreements and just stop making them. Like, it just seems like every company ends it, and like it's a very tough removal for people.
It's just annoying because whenever they get rid of like games or close down stores, it's not available to you in any capacity except for probably eBay, where it's like $300. But when you emulate it, when you emulate the game, they get the shits,
Yeah.
regardless if you can access it or not.
Nintendo don't. Yeah, Nintendo's one of those companies that feels like they only just unlocked the internet. So at times, but I feel like there's got to be a better way to end these storefronts than the way how it's been going, and just a way that makes people feel like they can still get their games, or it's not so severe and harsh. I'm struggling to think of the word, but it just feels so sudden and
Yeah, but like at the same time, I'm not sure what the alternative is.
No, I don't. I'm complaining, but I'm not giving a solution. But I am trying to propose that there's got to be a better way, because I just feel like you can't keep doing this to, a lot of Nintendo's employees would have worked on stuff that's literally no longer going to be available to them, and that sort of sucks.
Yeah, there's a whole ass game that you can't access because the only way you can access it right now is through the eStore, and that's Fire Emblem Fates Revelations. And that game is split into like 3 different games, right? So you got Birthright and was it Conquest? Yeah, Conquest.
Yeah, Conquest.
And unless you bought the special edition that came with Revelations, you're not gonna get Revelations ever after the store closes, because
Unless you do a nasty naughty thing and emulate it.
yeah, pretty much.
But I'm just gonna say this, look guys, if the store's closed, emulate it. They can't make money off of it, you're not stealing, just do it.
Like I know Revelations. Let's be honest, Josh. It sucks dick. It's
It
not
does
a good
suck
route. But
It does suck dick. Good, I'm glad it's gone.
But at the same time, that's still a whole game that you can't access, technically.
But it's just sad to see these things not being preserved in any way. Like, it's just people have their files and that's it. Like, there's got to be a better way than what's been happening. It sucks because there's games that people won't be able to play again, and so many times you go into like these best games of all time lists, and so many times people might not be able to play these games because they can't access it, or they're not going to shortly for some games, and it's sad.
I just want to ask a question though.
I want to give you an answer.
Like, I don't care if
No,
Nintendo is listening to this. Like, I don't care if Nintendo is listening to this right now. You're not getting my money because you don't want it. Is it easy to emulate the 3DS? Like, how?
Yeah, pretty easy.
Like, how's the setup on that? Like, I'm not
You
going to go
download
through
the file and you put it in.
You put it in? Okay, it's just like the Game Boy
It's
one?
actually
Well, I was
not
gonna
that
say, I feel like the Game Boy was so easy, and like, anyone, like, your technologically inept parents could, find themselves some way of emulating, the old Pokemon games. So I feel like it's not that difficult.
Yeah, it's not that hard. The 3DS is probably the most recent console that's fairly easy to emulate. And besides, just YouTube it.
It's gonna. I hope it's gonna be as easy as like the PSP emulator, because that's like surprisingly
that's the
easy.
thing. We shouldn't have to go down this route. People shouldn't have to do that when they have the games.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna buy any more 3DS games personally because I want to put that console to rest. I'm gonna do some replays on it, but
look, in so many ways, the Switch is like with some consoles, I feel like the others aren't necessarily successes. They're just the newest console, but the Switch is really a successor to everything the 3DS could do. But maybe this leads to them trying to add more of those old games onto the Switch, because
I wouldn't be surprised.
We've discussed, like, there's plenty of games that we want from the old 3DS games to be ported on to Switch, but yeah, I wonder if this is maybe them thinking about that side of things.
Yeah, give me Kid Icarus Uprising with analog controls.
Fantasy Life.
I'd love that.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Like, that game was great, it's just the controls gave me, I'm pretty sure my hands aren't the same after playing that game, because I can still remember the cramps.
You know what else would be pretty cool? If we got a Switch port of Mad World.
Yeah.
I find it funny if they recalled and burned every copy that was still out there.
I just realized that the people who wrote Mad World are the people who wrote, like, you know, the Sonic games up until before.
Yeah, it's a
Frontiers.
weird times.
And the people who wrote those games did Happy Tree Friends.
Really?
Man, Sonic be wild.
Yeah. No, look it up. It's crazy.
Oh wow, you're not kidding.
Yeah, I feel like Anf generally doesn't try to lie to you.
Yes, he does. He's just better at it than us.
Yeah, I'm honest to a fault. Honest to a fault.
So,
Also, can I just say, the funniest thing about all this was I was talking with Anf a few days ago when they announced the eShops were closing. And Anf's like, you know what this means, right? And I'm like, oh my god, why? Well, what does it mean? Why are you talking like that? And he's like, this means the Vita outlasted the 3DS.
that's not a story you thought you'd hear.
Yeah, that is not something I thought I'd hear.
Like, it's depressing thought, but
Can I just
it's true.
Can I just say, at least Nintendo supported the 3DS. Sony let the Vita die a very slow, agonizing death. Which sucks, because I love the Vita. I think it's a great little console.
As soon as they ported over Persona 4 Gold, and that thing just, you know, necked itself, essentially.
There was no support for Western games. Like, I know the Vita was very popular in Japan.
Yes, it was.
And that's why a lot of, like, Japanese developers still put their games on the Vita. And,
Weirdly enough, it also has an Uncharted game that you can't access unless you have a Vita, and it's canon.
Yes, it does. But I feel like the Vita launched relatively strong, and then, like, I don't know, it just didn't get a lot of support from Sony's, like, Western studios. But I don't know, maybe that's just me, but after, like, you know, maybe the first year, I can't recall, like, any major releases coming from anywhere other than Japan for the Vita.
It goes to show, like, how much Japan likes their handhelds, though.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
It's usually just like shovelware that they put on it right now.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny, right? I've heard
think.
people that took their, like, 3DS to Japan, like, in the past few years, and they still get, like, massive amounts of Street Pass. Like, Japan loves handhelds. And to be fair, the 3DS and the Vita have been fucking great handhelds.
So has the Switch.
Yeah, so the Switch, it's just
works in both.
The one thing that makes the 3DS, in my opinion, like, slightly better is the customization. Like your 3DS can be very personalized. Like, your you can add themes that you can shift as like per opening your Switch. Sorry, on 3DS, or, like, you know, taking it off sleep.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for Nintendo to put themes on the Switch.
Yeah, I still feel like you're so right. The Switch
Actually,
still feels
that might
like...
be coming, because they just announced they're going to have more profile pics that you can buy using the platinum points.
Yeah,
And
I don't want to use my platinum points on them, though.
Most important with the 3DS is you can sort your games out in files. Like, you can literally, like, move, like, icons around.
Yeah, and you can make folders in that.
Yeah, it was very personalized.
It's very true, because, like, you're just making me think. I've had this thought a few times of, like, you know, we'll be at a mate's place and one of us has a game that the other doesn't have, and you're like, oh, where's your Switch? And, you have to work it out. Like, you can't just open, if you've got some similar games on there, you can easily just confuse yourself and swap with your mate's Switch, whereas you couldn't do that with a lot of your consoles because everyone's got their own theme or they've got something that resembles them, and the Switch is very
it lacks a lot of customization options.
Like the Switch has a very simple like UI layout.
Very simple.
It's also unorganized, which is a bother.
Yeah.
I think the closest thing to customization I have on my Switch is I've got two things. I've got the Hori Split Pad Pro, which is kind of like it pretty much turns your Switch into giving you a Pro controller in handheld mode.
And it's the best thing ever, ain't it?
I love it.
I love it too.
Like mine's, I've got the Pac-Man edition, so it's got like Pac-Man all over it. And like the other thing I have it's like a light up dock for the Switch. So you put the actual Switch dock on top of it, and it's got like this kind of like plexiglass thing in front. And I've got one that resembles like a Sheikah slate from Breath of the Wild. Which is cool, like, you pretty much customize everything you put on the Switch, just not the Switch itself.
Yeah, that's the only annoying part.
It's strange.
It's like a massive step back, and I hate it. It's the same thing with the PS5. Remember the PS4 having themes, like really dynamic themes?
Yeah.
And you could also sort your like games into files just like the 3DS. Like you could personalize your PS4, but once you go to the PS5, those are gone, redundant.
I feel like other than when I go to the store, though, I barely see my theme because the one benefit the Switch has, the PS5 has, is games load so quick, or you literally continue off from an old save. So I don't see my theme as much as I would on the PS4, but no, it's definitely still a lacking feature.
And while we're making demands for the Switch, Nintendo, make the eShop less laggy.
Yeah, dude.
I could go on a whole other rant on Switch hardware and lack of internet connectivity as a whole. So,
yeah, I don't want to give these arrogant fucks any credit, but the most customizable thing right now is a PC.
Ooh, Anf, are you giving credit to the PC Master Race?
I'm giving credit to the PC bros. No, I'm giving them credit. I'm sorry, but the most customizable thing right now is your PC.
Are you letting Linux people win? We're not allowed to do that. We don't do that here, okay?
I'm sorry.
How do you know someone runs Linux on their computer?
Don't worry, they'll tell you.
I was going to say, don't worry, they'll tell you. I think that's a good place to end it.
Yeah, I feel like we're all good. We didn't even talk about Elden Ring.
Maybe we should.
No. Go off, Anf. Have your talk of Elden Ring, because I know you've been playing a little bit.
I'm not that far, but from what I've played, it is fantastic. Like, it is, like, mechanics-wise, it's the best of, when it comes to, like, From Software, Dark Souls era.
I've only heard good things about Elden Ring. The only thing, like, they've had some poor PC performance, and I think, they'll obviously fix that and get it patched. But it's definitely hurting them on the PC side of things. But everyone else is absolutely loving it. Like, Elden Ring has got very, very strong reviews, and it's probably fun. People thought it was Game of the Year contender before it released, and it looks like it's probably
it's actually
going to get it.
With the scores that it has, it's on par with like Breath of the Wild, and that game is considered to be one of the best games of all time as of the modern day.
Well, I think a lot of people described it as like if you had Breath of the Wild and you had Dark Souls and they had a baby, this is what you get.
Yeah, like
you're sounding a bit like a poor games journalist there, Jeff.
I know people hate.
I am a poor journalist
because this is literally Dark Souls X Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, it really is. Like, to be honest, it's just Breath of the Wild if Zelda hates you and wants to nail your nutsack to the fucking wood.
But what if she loves you and wants to nail your nutsack?
I don't think that's ever going to
happen.
I
feel like we have to cut this off.
That's a very dark part of the Nintendo license.
The law.
The law.
Like the game right now, you remember Jack? You told me yesterday. Has the game like started to make you feel like angry yet?
Yeah. I was like,
yeah.
is everything in your room still, not broken, all in one piece, and
Yesterday I could say, yeah, I was fine. Today, not so much.
But I mean, the one.
Huh?
Sorry, I was
you
just
up
gonna
to?
say, the one thing that I've heard of this is like, if Anf was stuck at something, unlike the old games, you could just go
Go somewhere else.
rather than be stuck against the same boss for hours and hours. It's like, oh, this is too hard. I'll come back later when I've got like more souls, maybe some better weapons.
Here's the problem, though. I had the capacity to beat this guy. I'm just a stubborn motherfucker, and I kept coming at him.
Look, but that's
Was that
that's a
fucking
way
Margit?
to play it. That's an option.
And this guy threw fucking daggers at me. He smacked with his staff and tail. And he knocked me off a cliff once, motherfucker.
Oh, this is Margaret, isn't it?
It's Margaret, Margaret.
Oh shit, Margaret got hands.
I freaking... I beat Margaret, by the way. I decided to take on a katana build.
Oh yeah?
So keep in mind, anyone who wants to play Elden Ring, a katana build is pretty broken. The blood loss status effect is broken.
Yes,
now
it
imagine
is.
if
That blood
imagine-
hemorrhaging damage. Ooh.
imagine if you can dual wield that, and you can.
Anf is learning the way of the sword.
while you fuckers were playing and speculating Pokemon, I was learning the sword.
So if you want to play Elden Ring properly, level Dex. Just level Dex.
Look, that's how I play Bloodborne, so it works for me.
Yuck, strength is the way to go.
Mate, Threaded Cane's the way to go in Bloodborne.
The threaded cane is the worst weapon in that game.
I'm gonna play Whip build in Elden Ring. I think Whip
You're
is
gonna play
the new meta.
You can get a whip.
Yeah, there's a whip.
What the fuck?
Have you not found the
thought
whip yet?
I haven't found the. I found like a strike weapon. It looks like a skipping rope, but yeah. or is that like a fisticuff weapon? I can't tell.
I have no idea.
I don't know. I'll have to have a look. I'm about to play it again anyway, like after this podcast, because the game has me hooked. It's like crack.
It is a bit like crack. Alexa's still playing it. She's doing well.
Oh, how's she enjoying it though?
Yeah. So it's been. Well, she's hit the struggle.
She's hit the struggle.
So
It's
she's
just
played
like-
5 minutes of it.
No, she's really far into the game, but it's getting to the point where everything is difficult, and I'm like, oh my god, this is getting to the point where it's like, oh yeah, every encounter is absolute bullshit.
If I head in any direction, it's pain.
Yeah, no, exactly right. Well, I feel the same way with her. I'm like, oh my god, I don't know if you have got a good option here.
Actually, look up. Get it to look up rune farming options, because those are always handy on the internet. You
Yeah.
It's repetitive, but it's worth it if you want to increase your stats and just survive a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's
No,
what
but
all
it
us
seems
filthy
fun. Though. It
casuals
seems fun.
and
We're doing really well.
horrible players go and do. So it was my ticket in Bloodborne. I was like, oh, I'm not good enough for this boss. I'll out-level you.
That's exactly my strategy in every single Souls-like game.
You and I play Dark Souls like RPGs. It's like, oh, we're just going to outstat you.
That's what happened to me in Demon's Souls. So in Demon's Souls, a good majority of that game is weak to magic. So you use an enchant sword with a falchion, you can fuck everything up.
Alrighty, I think we can end it there on some high praise for Elden Ring.
Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely.
yeah.
It's been an interesting few weeks. We'll see what happens. A few more.
Alright, want to take
Not
us
too
out?
much. No worries. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
No
We'll
problem.
catch you next time.
See ya.
Signing off.
Bye.
Signing
off.
off.